If you're really into the science of dog poo, and I'm sure you all are in terms of wanting to read stuff, there's this paper. This is one I did with the University of Central Lancashire, but there's other stuff too, but I'm happy to send you that. There's lots of reasons why people don't pick up, and we know that the environment has an impact on that, particularly if it's a more natural landscape. They will see, well, oh, there's cow and sheep poo here, so what problem is my dog's poo? When we know, as we'll see later, and some of the farmers will already know about neosporosis, which can cause abortions in cattle, and sarcocystosis, which can cause brain disease and death in sheep. But actually, if people don't know this sort of thing, it's like, well, one poo looks like another. It's not because they're stupid, they just don't know. And just talking about poo, again, we can do a whole day on poo, and you'll get all these things, but being really clear about what's expected, whether it's somebody visiting holiday accommodation, or whether it's coming to your country park, or whether it's on farmland or whatever, people need to be clear about what's expected, and like saying close control, don't use euphemisms. Say, you know, is it in the bin? Some places, some Forestry Commission sites where they don't have lots of visitors, actually saying, actually, it works better for us to get people to just keep it off the path, because then we don't have to empty the bins and it biodegrades naturally. But that isn't going to work so well on busy sites, or where actually you get so many nutrients that it affects the water. So they need to be really clear about where those areas start and finish. And again, if people are being displaced out of parks where they used to be picking up, they need to be given messages that you need to pick up everywhere, and that includes farmland and places. Again, poo bins, I'll show you an example here where just having the same number of bins but placing them better improves picking up rates. And also this thing, as we've seen before, about just saying, you know, it's okay to use any bin. And what some councils are doing is actually having fewer bins, but actually getting better picking up because they're placing them better and doing away with the red dog bins. And some people say, oh, isn't that really yucky putting bagged dog poo in with normal litter? Well, for one reason, when dog poo is in with normal litter, any leakage from the bag gets absorbed by pizza boxes and other stuff. And whilst dog poo can pass on certain diseases because of parasites, so we all often hear about Toxocara and people going blind, even though there's a very small number, and actually Toxocara is also carried in cat poo and in fox poo, so you're never going to get a totally Toxocara-free environment. When you think of other stuff that goes in general litter bins, like used syringes, used condoms, that sort of thing, those are things that carry diseases which can kill you. Dog poo generally is unpleasant. There are some diseases, but actually there's bigger diseases from human waste and human blood products and stuff like that. So no bin is safe anyway. And actually where you put bins can actually influence where people go. And there's lots of other things people have done, spray painting poo, and I'm sure the dog wardens here, you'll have had some initiatives. But if you're doing any posters or anything, a key thing, just making clear that any bin will do. We're lining people up to do stuff, but it's like any waste bin. So what some places do, where there's poo, because sometimes people think, oh, it's just my one dog. And actually, if it was just one dog once a year, it probably wouldn't be a huge problem, but the fact is it's lots of dogs. So what some councils have done is spray paint with chalk-based paint, which disappears after a while, and just circled or spray painted them all so that people realise that it's not just yours, it's all of them. I mean, politically it's a bit sensitive, but it raises the awareness that actually it's a cumulative issue, it isn't just your dog. Similarly, I'll show you in where people have put little flags in, because if it's hidden in the grass you don't always notice it, so they put flags in and use that for public relations. But again, the issue is, why are people not picking up? Is it that it looks like a field and they didn't realise they needed to, or is it that the bins are in the wrong place, or they didn't know they could use a certain bin? Again, in Scotland, some work I was doing with Scottish Natural Heritage and with the Kennel Club as well, in vet surgeries and stuff, they have these posters now about why it's important to pick up after your dog on farmland. And it also touches on issues about actually it's not just picking up, but it's actually, if some dog owners quite like feeding their dogs raw meat because they feel that that's more natural, but actually if that's frozen, then you can freeze the parasites in the raw meat that makes it safer. And that's, if that advice comes from a vet, that's really quite persuasive. But there's also issues about farm dogs and all the lovely things they do about eating placentas and all these sort of things. And actually, I'm sure the farmers here, if you're in some assured schemes, you'll have to worm your dogs every so often and this sort of thing. So the transmission can be from walkers' dogs, that's why they need to take action, but work done by the Morden Institute says the dogs that are there, like all the time, are the bigger risk, but it's important for walkers to take their own things. And as part of this project, it might be actually we want to get some posters in local vets about the need to pick up on farmland, and that's something that can be done. But in Wales, Scottish Natural Heritage has picked this up, Natural Resources Wales hadn't, but you know, the information is out there. This is another project, this is in Falkirk, where this has worked really well because it's building on that, using the peer pressure between dog owners. And this is something that you could use in local communities. It doesn't work with visitors, but with local people it works quite well. 34% increase picking up, it actually went up to actually 50% in the second year. But basically this was dog owners getting together who were sick of being tarnished as being bad people because one or two people didn't pick up. Because actually on a lot of green space, just one person not picking up looks like a big problem because they're going there twice a day. And what they do, they had this like green dog walkers, leads and armbands and stuff. And they got children, local scouts and guides, and when people went into the park, they had a tent, and they said, oh, will you come and join this pledge? And you know, because kids are often very good at going up to people, and they love talking about poo, don't they? It's like, and they have people making fake dog poos and putting them on the ground and talking about it. But what the dog owners do is they sign a pledge to say that they're always going to clean up after their dog, carry extra bags, so in a non-confrontational way, if they haven't seen anybody pick up, the right sort of person say, oh, I can lend you a bag here. And be a reminder, and just being visible that the people know that actually these are the dog owners are picking up, and the people most likely to see people not picking up are other dog owners, not the dog warden, because your hard-pressed dog warden will be all over the place. So actually working with them to dob other people in anonymously can work quite well. But so the human signs the pledge, and the dog owners will get this next bit, but the non-doggy people will think it's nuts. The dog then has an ink pad, and the dog kind of signs this pledge that they're going to make sure their owner picks up after them too. But it's worked really well, but it's working with the dog owners rather than, and making the comment that most dog owners are doing this. Let's work to try and marginalise the people who don't.